Trapping plays a very important role in modern-day wildlife management. Professional wildlife biologists monitor fur-bearer populations to maintain a healthy and sustainable harvest of this important, renewable natural resource. Trapping provides recreation and income for licensed trappers across this country. Who's Your Trapper Outdoors is brought to you by Who's Your Trapper Supply. J3 Outdoors, manufacturer of the Hags Bracket and Body Trap Spring Clip. Leatherwood Creek Trapping Scents, Who's Your Trapper Deer Scents, and Leatherwood Wildlife Art.
Welcome to episode 11 of Who's Your Trapper Outdoors. Merry Christmas. So this is Christmas Day. Hope you enjoy the day with your family or limited family. And I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Let's keep our fingers crossed that 2021 is a better year than 2020. So once again, Merry Christmas. That we'll continue with our semi-live footage. That's here locally here in Indiana. I want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Haggerty, J3 Outdoors. Excellent quality American-made products, particularly if you're a water trapper. Be sure to check those out. He's becoming quite well known. I don't have to give you a whole bunch of description on what he has, but great product. Can't say enough about him. I want to thank everybody for the orders, or those of you that have stopped by the shop. After all, that's what makes all this possible. If you haven't checked out our website, you might give us a look at who'syourtrappersupply.com. It's got everything you need for trapping. Easy, maneuverable site. So give us a check, or give us a look at who'syourtrappersupply.com. I want to mention the Show Us Your Bottle contest. Get a chance to win a $100 gift card. If you go to the homepage of our website, there's a link there that has the information about the contest, the requirements, also an email for specifically sending your photos for the contest to that email. So they're here again, just give that a look and check that out. I want to mention the Trap House podcast. So Justin just put up a new one that we did earlier this week. It is about a gray fox research project that is going on here in Indiana. I think there's some other states that are interested in doing the same project. I'll mention that we had Tim Hiller, who is the head of the Wildlife Ecology Institute. He's out of Montana. We had Jerry Ann Albers, who is the fur bear biologist for the state of Indiana. And then we had Dawn Redding, who is a geneticist, associate professor at a college in Iowa. And all three of those are involved in this project. So it's an interesting conversation. We didn't just talk about the Gray Fox project. We talked about a number of other things as well in the area of fur bear research. So we are very fortunate to have these people available for the podcast, and we're very fortunate to have these people available for the management of our fur bear resource. So give that a listen. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll find it insightful. It's very interesting. So anyways, be sure to check that out. I think that's about it. Hope you enjoy the show.
Alright, first stop of the day on this farm. Nice long lane back here to this bridge. We caught one yesterday just right on the other side of the bridge. Charlie did. Charlie can't join us this morning, so I told him I'd take care of the line. This was one of his sets, so I can't totally tell you what was in it. I guarantee you there was top dog in the hole there for the bait, and coyote urine, but I don't know what lure he was jumping back and forth with. It might have been the Predator Seducer, I'm not sure. But yeah, like I said, number 2 on this. Today is definitely the coldest day we've had since we started trapping. It got down to right around 30 last night. It's a little frosty on top of the corn there, you can see. We've just used regular dirt for all our sets. No salt, no antifreeze, no coveralls, no nothing. So we'll see how that plays out, because the day before it did rain just a little bit, so there is some moisture in the ground, but I don't think it froze hard enough to cause us any problems. Obviously didn't make a difference for this guy right here, so we're gonna take care of him and remake the set. All right, just wanted to show the remake here. Charlie had a nice big hole there, filled it back up with some top dog, and I did put a little Vixen back on there for the remake, Vixen Elixir. Kind of blended the edges a little bit, and there's the prize coyote going in the back of the truck for a long ride. Stay tuned. Second coyote of the day at our last spot. This set seemed to look like it got scratched at, but unsure what it was. Could have been coyote, could have been coon, who knows. But we're just on the edge of this field that drops down. Charlie has some sets on that side. They're clear. I have one set here, then I had a set here that had a possum in it. Clean that up. This is kind of cool. Yeah, it's probably hard to tell in this camera, but right in here is a big old deer scrape, which is good to see. Actually hunting right there over on top of that hill down. There's a creek that runs down through there, so that's always nice to see. Of course, we got top dog Predator bait. This one had the new lure Jet Fuel in there with some bobcat urine. So we're gonna remake this, try to form some sort of a trash pile set out of what's left here. It's kind of muddy. Like I said, the temperature has changed, and hopefully you know, we'll stick this spot out for a little bit and catch a few more. So great morning. All right, just wanted to show the remake here. Got a little blue-green Jet Fuel there on the side of that rock. Top dog in the hole, trapped just in front of it. Blend the edges a little bit. I did take just this tree branch here, pine or cedar here, stick it in the ground, just a little more backing, but it's kind of away from the set, so it's not too intimidating for a coyote to approach. Yeah, so looking forward to another day. Hopefully catch another one at this spot. Time to get to work.
What is this, Justin? Check day 6?
I think so.
I think it's check day 6.
Second coon at this spot.
Yep, pretty much blanked out today, really. But caught this coon. Nice dark coon. Farmer's behind us shelling corn, so. And the deer are on the move. We've been seeing deer this morning. We saw a couple turkeys, which is pretty cool up here because we don't have many turkeys around. So.
Take care of this guy and get the remake done. Better luck tomorrow.
Yep.
Hags Trapping Products by J3 Outdoors, the most versatile and efficient trapping devices on the market.
Got the Hags brackets on here. We just set this trap in one of the grooves, and it just sits right under there on the bottom slot, and then the water's just directly over the trap. All right, trap's missing. We'll see if we got anything. Hags bracket with the carrot. Can't beat that.
All right, we get a lot of questions about how to set up a drag. So it's really pretty simple. The idea with the drag is that the animal drags it around, gets hung up on something, it's not securely staked, and they drag it, get hung up on something, and then you go retrieve your animal. So none of us want to go spend 2 hours looking for an animal, so we don't want it to go very far. So the better quality drag that you have, the more quickly they'll hang up. The other thing that's very important is the longer the chain, the less control the animal has on the drag itself. So if you go 10 to 12 foot of chain, they're much more likely to hang up than if you use 5 or 6 foot of chain. So because with the 5 or 6 foot, they have a lot more control over the actual drag. So that's my first recommendation, 10 to 12 foot of chain and a good quality drag. Now, to attach the drag to the chain, you can do a couple of different ways. You can go with an S-hook like this, and then just, of course, just crimp it down, and that will actually work quite well. Or you can take a next step and weld it into place if you got a welder. This part of the drag, I have never found that it really has that much stress at this point here. Normally that's wrapped up, so that's not really, typically doesn't have much stress there as far as the animal having direct pull. This is a drag I did not set up, so but this is one that has a crunch-proof swivel attached to the S-hook and then attached to the chain. In my opinion, that doesn't need to be there. I personally don't recommend that. If you have your trap itself, this trap kind of needs to be retreated, but if you have your trap well swiveled, this is where basically all the twisting and stuff is going to be, and this would be the last point that would be wrapped up. So if you've got your trap well swiveled, this one's got a shock spring in it as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different swivel points on here. You don't need to add additional swiveling to the chain that's on the drag. Like I said, this is generally the last point that's going to be wrapped up or impaired by being tangled up. So I don't think something like this, albeit it's not hurting anything, it's just not necessary, and it's just money that you don't need to spend. You can also wrap your chain through the end of the drag, which is more valuable on this type of drag here, where it's so thick that it's difficult to get a S-hook around it. This one did work, but or a split ring, and then you can actually split ring it or S-hook it here. That's just another option if you don't have a welder or whatever. But like I said, this part of the drag, in my opinion, doesn't have much stress on it. Now, to talk about chain, like I said, we're going to go on the 10 to 12 foot length on the chain. We've got machine chain like this, and we've got twin loop chain like this. This is 2/0 twin loop chain. We have a number of drags with this chain on it. It's significantly cheaper than the machine chain, and we have never had an issue with it. It works just fine, never had it break. Good durable chain. You know, guys say, well, they might chew on it. Well, yeah, they can chew on that, but I mean, that's going to be still good strong chain, and you know, the likelihood of them chewing through it is slim to none. Now, if you're in an area where you got a chance of possibly catching a black bear or a mountain lion or something, then you may want to, you know, go on the heavier side of this stuff. But generally speaking, most of us just got to worry about coyotes being the biggest predator that we have to deal with. So that is basically it. And then at the end of the chain, to attach your trap or whatever, I normally have a split ring on the last swivel on my trap chain, and then that can go directly to the drag chain. Or if you don't keep a split ring there, you can always just you can add it to the end of the drag chain. The reason we have a split ring, we just make sure that that split ring is on the end of our trap chain for a drag chain, or also to attach our cable stakes. I personally don't like my cable stakes attached all the time because they tangle up more. Justin leaves his attached, but you know, it just kind of depends on what your preference is. He is using a chain wolf fang instead of the cable, which would be less likely to tangle up. So, but we always have the split ring on the end of our trap chain, and then we can go directly to the chain that's on the drag. So just to kind of run over this real quick,
10 to 12 foot of chain. The chain, what you choose is kind of up to you, whether you go just like a twin loop or the machine chain. I will say the machine chain wraps up nicer on the drag itself for storage, and that's basically it. The attachment, like I said, you use split rings, S hooks, weld them in place, not weld them in place, whatever. But that's kind of basically it. So I hope that helps eliminate some of the questions about how to set up a drag.
Top Dog Predator Bait. Success speaks for itself.
All right, Q&A. So, couple things. One, had a call from a new coyote trapper the other day, and he set 2 traps, and then the next day he set 4 traps. So the second check day, he still hadn't caught anything. I mean, he was all concerned, and he had some tentative visits and that. So I'm going to reference what I said on the last show about the December lull. I mean, all of that is normal, and there was snow on the ground, so he was pretty humbled by what was going on. And I always say snow's the great humbler. And this is, it doesn't matter if you're a very experienced trapper or a new trapper, all of us face this. So he said that he was off of a 2-track farm lane, and he'd set off of that about 20 yards, and the coyotes were walking by on the 2-track and didn't even go over to a set. And I said, well, move the set on to the 2-track. I mean, if the farm equipment's not going on that 2-track, put it in front of them. Don't assume that they're going to go off the 2-track so many yards and see your set or smell your set or whatever. Put it right there in front of them. Another thing that he said, which I'll say, he's like, he had a set, and literally he said, I saw coyote tracks 100 yards away, and he felt that they should smell the lure and go to the set. The lure is good, but generally speaking, it's not made to call stuff in from 100 yards away. You got to be on the general path of travel, and that same coyote very well may come in that area, but the likelihood of him coming off of his path of travel at 100 yards is probably fairly unlikely. And without extensive study and trail cams and all that kind of stuff, to definitively say that a lure can do that, would be difficult. So if you had a long distance lure up on a fence post and some rotted fish or something with an incredibly loud smell near your set, then yeah, you might be able to pull him away at 100 yards. But generally most sets that we make are on the ground, and they're generally not designed to work that way. So the biggest thing on this is you need to put that set where the animals are traveling. So and don't get overly concerned or overly discouraged by tentative visits, walk-bys, that kind of thing. So a lot of that is normal. It's probably going on when the snow's not there, and this time of year is certainly probably going to see a little more of that than you would other times of the year. So I'm talking about December. So another thing, just as a side note, raccoons don't move every day this time of year. They're all fattened up. They prepared themselves to lay up for several days at a time before they had to come down. So for those of you that are raccoon trapping, even if the weather's mild, if you get a cold snap and then we got a warm up, the coons might run that first night, maybe the second night. If it stays warm for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, they may not run every one of those warm nights. So it's just kind of the way raccoons are. They prepare themselves to do that. So anyways, don't get discouraged by lack of activity or lack of interest in your sets this time of year. Just keep them in front, get the set in front of them, and keep on it. Another thing I want to mention, and I think this was in reference to me saying you got to check a lot of empty traps to catch a bunch of critters, or you got to catch critters. And there was a comment that said, I'd rather have 6 good sets than 12 or 18 poorly made sets. Well, that is true to a point, and that's kind of become a catchphrase. So if you are running locations, proven locations, which we typically almost always do, years of running locations that have produced coyotes, we know the locations is generally good. Now there may be some variation from year to year, but so and if you're in different home ranges of coyotes and they all move in different areas of their home range, and you've got all these different options out there, then you are going to have areas that are not going to catch for several days, and then hopefully you got areas that will catch, when those other areas aren't productive. So this idea of very selective sets that are always going to catch is ridiculous, it's just a lot of this is just if you want to get down to trap check nights and percentage of success and all that kind of stuff, and then you have to evaluate the land that you're on and the animals that it holds and all that kind of stuff. So it's much more complicated than just saying I'd rather have 6 good sets than 18 poorly made sets, which I said to a point is true, but don't get hung up on that either. If you don't have traps in the ground, you can't catch critters. So anyways, I think I'll need to bear that in mind on that. So anyways, that's kind of the things I wanted to address, and like I said, part of that was a follow-up from the show that we did, the last show that we did. I hope this helps. Certainly keep those Q&As coming in. Like I said, a lot of times I try to answer them when they come in, and if I don't get to it, we'll certainly try to get to it on the show. The other thing is we have questions and comments and stuff coming in from a number of different platforms, so my apologies if we don't get them all answered or if we miss them or whatever. We've got basically 2 different Facebook accounts, Instagram, Gmail, Messenger. Some stuff comes through Messenger on both Facebook and then directly on Facebook. So anyways, we do our very best, but my apologies if we happen to miss you. So.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Who's Your Trapper Outdoors. Just wanted to let you know that we do have our new fall catalog out. It's got lots of great products in there and photos. So if you would like to receive one, please visit us at www.hoosiertrappersupply.com, and it'll walk you through on how to request one. You can also print one out from there if you don't want to wait on one to come through the mail. We also would be more than happy to take a request over the phone at 317-881-3075. We are a complete trapline outfitter. We offer lots of great lures and baits, and we also have a complete line of deer scent.
Yep, and also while you're online, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course. We really appreciate it. You could give us a like or share if you can, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'd be great. And don't forget about the podcast that we have, the Trap House Podcast and the Fur Shed series. And also there's a Facebook group that I started called the Catch Circle, and that's open to anyone. It's a great trapping community. Ask questions, buy and sell lures and old traps, whatever. Anything trapping related is welcome. So we appreciate that, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yeah. Thank you for all the orders and supporting our small family-owned and operated business. We truly appreciate it.
Join us on January 8th for the next episode of Who's Your Trapper Outdoors.